for another video. So today's video is going to be about how I stopped making excuses. So I think sometimes we don't realize how many excuses we make for ourselves. We literally just make constant excuses, whether not to do something, whether not to pursue something, whether not to follow our dreams, our vision, set goals for ourselves. We have so many excuses, and I think you have to get to a point where you realize you make a lot of excuses. That's the first thing. Like, do you make excuses? Which I think a lot of us do. And then two is, are those excuses actually hindering your progress? And if it's a yes, then you are in the right video. You need to know this, that you need to stop the excuses, because the excuses are stopping you from actually achieving your goals. I've been making excuses for a long time. Excuses not to do something, excuses not to start something. My business is an example. I think I wanted to start a business 3 years prior to when it even got launched, because I just kept having excuses. I don't have the money, I don't have the funds, I don't know anything. Where do I start? I don't have the right resources. With all these excuses, there's so many things. This is a place I've never never delved into before. I've never looked at running a business. Like, what do I need to know? Like, how do I start this? How do I get the right connections? You just have so many things that you start questions, you start asking yourself, and then the excuses start, where it's like, well, I don't know many people, so might as well not start it. I'm not like them, so I might as well not start it. It's not gonna work out anyway, so I'm not. All these things, the excuses that coming along, like, you know what, well, I'm not experienced enough, so I'm gonna try. And you have to realize a lot of people probably in the same boat. They were not experienced either, but they still started the process. And sometimes it's just about starting. So then you gain the knowledge along the way, you learn, you fall, you get up. And I think that's what I had to learn. And I think it's good, because I think when you learn from an early age the things that you've done wrong or done right, then when you do grow, it allows you to not apply those same steps or things to when you've grown and you're a lot bigger, so that you don't make those silly mistakes later on when you're bigger. So I think we should be more grateful for the mistakes in the early stages, because it stops you from making the same mistakes, or it will hinder you from making the same mistakes later on down the line when you're either bigger, you have more customers, you have more of a large customer base, and you've grown, and in a way not have a lot more to lose, but the mistake can affect you more, either financially, reputationally, etc. So I definitely think that learning in the first time around, where you're like, okay, this hasn't gone right where I wanted it to go, but you know what, thank the Lord for failings at times, because it's teaching, either character wise or just practical steps wise. That's why I want to say that sometimes it's okay to fail, especially coming from here. It's okay to fail, and actually don't see it as a failure, but rather than a character building, and also a preparation. I think it was a preparation for when the bigger things come. It's fine and it's okay. So second thing I'd say is, when we have excuses, we end up just being in the same lane. Like, we don't move, we're coasting, let's be honest, because you've said to yourself, I don't want to get anywhere else further than this, because I'm not going to allow myself to start this, do this, be a part of this or anything like that. You end up just coasting, and then you find yourself being like, why am I not happy? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? And it's because you're not living in the purpose that you're meant to be in. And it's usually because you've stopped yourself from fulfilling the dream that you have. Too many times we think like, oh, I'm just not happy, I'm down. And sometimes it can be that's fine. But then I had to realize, when I was feeling so, it was almost at a point of like, not hopelessness, but at a point where I was feeling like, what was I created for? Like, I can't just be in this earth just blinking and working. Like, that cannot be my life, and I was like, no, this is not my life. I had to reevaluate, and I realized that, one, I closed my business, so that was the first thing that I'd already used to be my love, and I just loved it so much. But then two, I felt like I was not longer serving. So even though I had a business, my business is kind of for serving. Obviously, it provides like skincare, body butters, etc., everything, body scrubs. So it serves the community or serves people in the terms of like helping their skin. And that's what I love. Like, I've always been a giver. I love helping. I love, you know, just serving really. So for me, I just feel like a part of me was gone because I was no longer doing that. I wasn't in church, let's be honest, because COVID happened. We all know church. I ended up moving as well. It's not that I moved from my current city to a different city, so I had to find a new church. And then, you know, at the time I was planning a wedding, so everything was just like back and forth. You know, I was going to church like here and there, stepping a foot. Every now and then I was like, Lord, I need the word. And then I'll be back out again and be like, Lord, I got the planning to plan the wedding and stress about everything else. So, you know, at the time I did have a lot of things happening, so I will attribute it to that as well. But a part of me is like, definitely, you have to get to a point where you don't want to just be, what's the word, just kind of living and just being like, yeah, it is what it is, you know, this is the life I've been given. And I think you always have the opportunity to make the life that you want to make it. You have the opportunity, you can do it. Even if it's hard and it's difficult, definitely go for it. So that's one thing I say, don't make excuses because you end up not fulfilling your purpose, because you just there living in like, oh, I'll just stay in this lane and not achieve anything. And it stops you from actually growing and getting anywhere. And three, I would say it also affects others. Let's be honest. You making excuses will affect others too, because this life is not just about us. It's also the people around us, the people that you commune with, family, friends. If you make excuses, sometimes you don't know that the thing that you're meant to be doing was meant to serve someone else and help someone else and actually propel them into their own destiny, into their own purpose. So in you making the excuse to not start that thing or change that thing about you or change that habit or start that business or start that course and start that job, that could actually affect the people that you were meant to meet. Let's be honest, the people that you were meant to meet along the way could have been the people that would have either helped you or you would have helped them. So we live in a society, I feel like it's very individualistic nowadays, depending on where you come from, but Western society is very individualistic. And I think we don't realize sometimes how much community is everything at times, like having a community, people to go to, friendships, groups that you can chat to, you know, whether that be church, that be just a local community. Those groups help us sometimes. Those are the groups that just give us the oomph we need and that motivation, and it builds friendships and family and all these things. And sometimes I think we push it aside a lot and just think, I'll live my life by myself and just do things myself. Speaking from experience, because I'm very much like, I've always been like, I don't want to be a burden. So I feel like I've had that, always been like that, where I didn't want to be a burden to anyone. So I do things by myself and just be like, I'll be fine. And I had my twin, obviously, so in a way. But even then, I still wanted to do things by myself. I'll be like, I'm fine, I can do this. And I've always had that mentality of like, I don't want to be a burden, but I'll do it myself. And I think sometimes you have to almost get to a point of like, in this life, you need other people to help you along the way, whether we like it or not. There's times where you need those friends that'll be like, give you the word and be like, get up, sister, like, you get up, brother, we're like, we're not staying in this season of just being down, we need to get back up. And those are the friends you need at times, where you need to just speak life into you. And I think sometimes we forget that that community is so important for the times that we are unable to bring ourselves out of something or out of a dark place. So I do say that having an excuse will affect others too, because people that are around us are the people that we're probably meant to be serving, and two, they're serving us too. So don't make excuses, because you don't know whose life, whose destiny that your words, your meeting, your communion with has an effect on or will have an effect on. So just take that in mind when you have excuses. So for how I stopped myself from making excuses were like thinking outside the box and having a bigger picture of things. I stopped thinking inwardly and thinking just about me and thinking a larger as a whole. So rather than making excuses to not be healthy, I was like, who am I affecting in this? My family. If I became ill, if I had children down the line and then I developed illnesses, who want, you know, no one wants a mother that's unwell and, you know, stress, people are stressing about it. Like, if you see the bigger picture of things, why am I waking up early and developing a habit of discipline? So then when I have the business scales up to a bigger level than what I've ever known, I need to have the discipline to be like, okay, I need to move this meeting here, I need to achieve this by this time. All these things have a bigger plan. So we think very small of like, oh, okay, I'm just having discipline, but the discipline has more than just you in mind. It has a larger scale. So the discipline of being like, when you have children, we need patience and we need discipline too, because you now need to wake up at 7 o'clock because the children need to get dressed, eat the food, get showered, go to school, all these things. So we always think that we can just bypass certain attributes in life, and then we realize that we just meet them again at a certain point when we're older. So if you're always late, you realize when you were in high school or college, you're like, I'm fine, they don't care. Now you've got a job and that job does not tolerate lateness. So then now that's affecting your work, and that could lead to disciplinaries, etc. So I just want to say, for the fact that don't think that pushing something aside, or like a season where you need to learn a thing, that I'll push it to the side and I won't see it again, because it usually rears its head at a later date when you're older, or, you know, in between your life where you actually still need to have that discipline, if that makes sense. So I say all that to say, in when you have discipline, just don't think it's a season thing. Like, when we're trying to build discipline and change our lives, create good habits, it's for the long term, because we're still going to face things and challenges in the future where we still need to apply those disciplines that we've had for ourselves, whether that's, you know, prayer, reading devotionals, having our journaling time, because we'll have seasons of being of great where we don't think we feel like we need to read the Bible or have journaling, because it's like, oh, I'm fine, like my mental health is popping, you know. But then we'll get to a season where you're like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm going in a dark hole now. And then you realize that the practices of just having your devotion, having that quiet time, that meditation time, that Bible reading time allowed you all those years or the times to just keep you at peace. Let's be honest. So sometimes we take for granted the things that we're doing constant on a day-to-day basis until we lose our peace, and then we wonder why that our peace is gone. So I just want to encourage someone to be like, sometimes if you think that, oh, I'm fine, I'm in a season of being, you know, I'm fine, don't let go of the discipline, because you never know what when you will need it again. And you never know, like, you might read a scripture that one day you'll be like, I'm in this dark hole, and you will remember it and be like, ooh, the Lord is good. I remember that scripture when I was in my quiet time, when I was in my prayer closet, where, you know, everything was fine at the time. Now I'm in the season, you know, the Lord has allowed me to remember this same scripture, and, you know, you run back to the same place. So I just want to encourage you guys that don't think that excuses are just for you. They're for everyone else as well around you. But also, to stop excuses, think of the bigger picture. This life, we're living it with other people around us, and as much as we don't like to say it, we need community, we need one another, we need friends, we need a community. And I feel like in this life and in this world nowadays, that's been thrown aside, and it's almost like it's me, myself and I, or me, myself and my immediate family, and then everyone else can just go over there. And I think we shouldn't really do that. We need more community. That's one thing I would love to have myself, like, just I feel like I'm in a season of craving that, because I did want to have that. And you know, when you're younger, you take it for granted. Like I'm saying now, you take it for granted because you're like, oh, these people are annoying me. And then when it's gone, you're like, oh, okay, the Lord was showing me something, because at the time they were an annoyance, but you never realized that they were actually covering you, they were, you know, empowering you, giving you strength and all those good stuff. So now I think I'm in a season where I'm trying to find that community, mostly back in the church and everything else. But I believe that the Lord is providing that for me. And yeah, so I'm just believing for that. But I just want to encourage you guys that you can do it. Don't let excuses stop you from fulfilling your purpose, your dreams and your goals, because you can do this. And thank you so much for watching today. I am your biggest motivator and supporter. So make sure you tune in and join the community. And I'll see you soon, and I'll see you in the next one.